Welcome to Beauty and the Biz. Discover how to grow your practice with effective cosmetic patient attraction, conversion, and retention advice from author, speaker, trainer, and cosmetic practice business and marketing coach, Catherine Maley, MBA.
Welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, and consultant to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and profits. Today's episode is about preventing problem patients by using a checklist and other strategies. So we've all heard that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And just in case you're interested, I discovered Ben Franklin coined that timeless phrase back in 1736 to remind Philadelphia citizens to remain vigilant about fire awareness and prevention. We could actually use a little reminder of that out here in California. So this advice works just as well today in our own industry. A little precaution before a problem occurs is preferable to a lot of fixing it afterwards. So as a cosmetic surgeon, you get all the risk when dealing with a cosmetic patient. You hope and or believe the prospective patient is actually hearing you when you say, I can't make it perfect, but I can make it a lot better. So the good news is most consumers make for great cosmetic patients. They've done a lot of research online. They know the good, the bad, and the ugly. They're friendly, they're reasonable, they're realistic. But the few patients who aren't can wreak havoc with your reputation as well as your mental health. So you want to plan ahead to prevent problem patients. What can trip you up are your own emotions during the consultation process. The two major ones being ego and greed. It can be difficult to say no to prospective patients who want to give you money. That's completely understandable, and I get it. Same thing with your ego. It's so much easier during the consultation process to ignore your gut telling you to be aware than it is to say no. Now, when interviewing surgeons about problem patients, they repeatedly tell me, I knew there were red flags, I had a funny feeling, but I thought I could manage them. Now, most of the time you can, but why not set up a process to help you stay out of these sticky situations that come back to haunt you later? I recommend you get together with your team and review what you've discovered from experiencing your very own problem patients. Looking back, what were the warning signs? Now, once you come up with those answers, develop your own pre-surgical red flags checklist. So here's an example of a checklist that's a good start for you, and you can add more to it. Their significant other makes the appointments and schedules the surgery rather than the patient doing it themselves. Or they're rude to staff. Or they lie, they're demanding, they're self-centered, they're inflexible, they're whiny, they bad talk other surgeons, they're over-dramatic, they're too emotional, or they're too unemotional. They just don't understand the procedure and don't seem to be getting it. They've got repetitive behaviors. They're on meds, and quite frankly, you want to call their psychiatrist if they're on those kind of meds and find out what the backstory is. They won't take photos. They won't sign your consent forms. They're vague about their post-operative support. Your staff tells you they've got reservations about this patient. Or the big one, you just don't like the patient, and that's where your gut comes in. So make it protocol for you and your staff to go over this checklist during the consultation process. If you can check any of these boxes, abort, or at least beware. Then there's the post-op problem patient. Now, even though you were careful with patient selection at the front end, you can still end up with a post-op patient who's not happy. It happens. What's most important is what you do about it when it happens that makes all the difference, and how it plays out. So rather than wing it when it happens and emotions are running high, set up guidelines now to deal with it in a rational way when you're in the middle of it. So here are 4 steps to help you work with and prevent problem patients. Step number 1, listen. It's a tough one. You can't solve a problem you don't know you have, and you can't assume anything. That's why listening is critical. So give the patient your undivided attention. Use their name and eye contact, and don't rush. And by the way, have a meeting with them at the end of the day so you're not in between patients. So listen to a patient's complaints without interrupting. Sometimes the patient just wants to be heard and understood. Then repeat back what they said to ensure you're both on the same page. This alone could diffuse them. It'll also help you determine if this is a real issue or if it's just a complaint the patient wants to share with you, get off their chest and move on. So here's number 2, acknowledge. Now, this is also a tough one. Avoid this temptation to be defensive. Don't make excuses, don't qualify, and don't disparage a patient for speaking their mind. Just listen and learn. Offer a sincere apology for how they feel, not for any wrongdoing on your part, but you are sorry that they're not happy. And when you acknowledge, that's when you're repeating back to them what you heard. That's actually what most patients want, most human beings want. They want to be heard, they want to feel understood, and they want to feel significant. So just please remember that. Now here's number 3, ask questions. Be curious and probe deeper with questions to figure out just how serious the situation is. For example, you could ask something like, Karen, what's prompting this? Did someone say something to you? And really look concerned, look them in the eye, and just sit back and wait for their answer. Let them think about it. Because you're looking for the why they feel the way they do. Maybe they went back online to research their concerns and they've got themselves all worked up from other patients' stories. You just don't know unless you ask. Another great question to ask to figure out where the patient's head is at is, Karen, if you were me, what would you do? Now this puts the patient in your shoes. They may surprise you and have a very simple request that would satisfy them. Again, you just don't know unless you ask. And then here's number 4, do something. Make it right. Don't just promise to make it right. Actually take a proactive step in the right direction. Offer solutions such as cortisone shots, lymphatic massage, a touch-up in the office, comp your fees or discount the OR fees to go back into surgery. Then thank them for being reasonable and working with you to rectify the situation. So to recap, it's listen, acknowledge, ask questions, and then do something. Oftentimes, you can turn this problem patient into a raving fan by handling the situation promptly with composure, assurance, and poise so it doesn't blow up into something bigger. Okay, that's it for me right now. I hope that was helpful to you. Of course, I would love your feedback and or questions, and you can certainly leave those at my website at catherinemaley.com. I'd also love for you to subscribe to Beauty in the Biz so you don't miss any future episodes. And then, of course, if you want to DM me on Instagram, I'm found at Catherine Maley MBA. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.
We hope you found valuable insight on this episode of Beauty in the Biz. For more episodes, tools, and Catherine's free book, visit www.catherinemaley.com. That's www.catherinemaley.com. And be sure to subscribe to get the latest practice building strategies delivered to you. And don't forget to share this Beauty in the Biz podcast with your staff and colleagues.